Matchbox super fast. Matchbox super fast. Matchbox super fast. I remember that from when I was a kid. There was a Matchbox super fast commercial that had like a jingle that went like that. And I saw this at the store, and I actually texted you a picture of it. You wanted me to pick it up for you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And it was on clearance for like three something. It came out to just right about, I think exactly $4.
Yeah.
And it's a 1936 Ford, nice pretty gold color. You see that there, and the packaging is nice too. You see the front and the way that it's propped up like that. And I was telling diecastinator probably be a good idea to keep it in the package because it just looks so nice in the package like that. And this is one of the pricier Matchboxes because it was clearance at like $373 or something like that, which means that originally it was probably like $6 or $7.
Yeah, I saw it online for 10.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot compared to what I mean. Kind of the average price is like somewhere between $1 and $2.
Yeah, I'd say really between $1 to $3 is probably where you're at for a lot of them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So not a bad deal, really.
Yeah.
And 36 Ford is one of the cooler, kind of classier cars that you could get. And then just having it in this nice package. I was telling him that if you had like a bulletin board or something, I have a bulletin board in my kind of office area. And it would be perfect to take a thumbtack or something and stick it right there and just hang it up that way. Be a perfect way to display it.
Yeah, I might do that with some of mine at some point. We'll see. I have some bulletin boards that I could put up in my basement.
That would look pretty badass.
Yeah.
And then we have here, this was my idea. This is a PT Cruiser, early aughts PT Cruiser. There's about 70 years of difference between these two vehicles, but they look very similar, and obviously that was on purpose because the PT Cruiser was designed after the 1930s style vehicles. And we made a video about PT Cruisers that you'll probably see come out at some point in the future. It was actually made before this one, but it may come out after this one.
Yeah, there's kind of a backlog of videos.
Yeah.
Right now, so we'll get to it when we get to it. But yeah.
One thing that I didn't really know for a fact until Diecastinator told me, because I'm not so much into diecast stuff. I mean, I appreciate it, but I'm not a collector like he is, and so I don't know the details of the lore of it.
Yeah.
And what he told me is that Matchbox and Hot Wheels and every other kind of reputable diecast maker, they have certain scales that they stick to, and one of those is 1/64th, which is what these two are. And the cool thing about that is the fact that that's the standard. It means that these two cars are they're on the same scale. So they're the same size in relation to each other that the two real cars would be. And that's really cool. And then what is there like? There's like a 130 something too.
Yeah, 1/32nd, 1/16th, 1/8th, all these different ones. They go in the fractions, I guess.
They're all multiples of 8.
Yeah, see, that's why it's good to know your fractions and some math kids.
Yeah.
So then you can get them right. But I like the 64th because they're smaller and they're cheaper and they don't have as much detail as some really fancy ass ones. Because I have some really fine detailed ones too, but I have much less of those than I do these 64th. And I don't actively buy larger than 64th vehicles unless it's a really specific like telecom vehicle or something that really just knocks me to the floor. So
Yeah. Yeah, something that just knocks your socks off like Halle Berry
yeah,
in her prime.
I know.
But yeah, 1/64th, they're a lot more portable. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's like something that you could keep in your pocket or.
Well, and we've had discussions about care and respect towards various toys and collections.
Yeah.
And for me, when they're loose and they're open and I got them and they're used, I don't really care that much because you're like, it looks like a kid's playing a bunch of toys here. He needs to pick up his toys or something. You told me once when, I had strategically placed diecast vehicles in particular spots and positions so as they will not fall on the floor or cause additional damage.
Well, the fact that so they wouldn't roll away, that was a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't think of. But the thing is, I usually display them. I have stuff with wheels, like that 1960s Batmobile and stuff.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to display them, I usually put them somewhere where I know they won't roll away. But then you have so many that you really can't practically do that.
Yeah.
But I would love to see you turn your basement into sort of like a showcase at some point.
Yeah,
I bet that's probably what you'll do to some degree.
Yep.
And at least with kind of your favorite ones. And that's really cool. Yeah, I've been getting into the Transformers lately, and that's been, but I'm not really, I can't really think of any one thing that I have a passionate collection associated with, except I suppose maybe house plants, but I don't know if even that would really count. It's good that you have something like this.
Well, for that, in a lot of ways, with houseplants, you're like a gardener or a green thumb or something like that. Those are cool.
Kind of an amateur botanist.
Yeah.
But yeah, with this, I mean, people have hobbies like this. I mean, this could keep you going through the hard times.
Yeah. You always scrape together a couple bucks for a diecast car.
Yeah, it's even if you have nothing else in your life to live for, you could always live for that trip to Walmart or Target or Tyson's or
get that dopamine rush.
Get that dopamine rush.
Consumer dopamine. They give you a syringe and inject it right in.
Yep. Pick that thing up, you'll be like, man, this will get me through another night.
Yeah.
we took a very dark, we're describing diecast collecting in about the darkest terms possible.
Drug addiction and vice.
Yeah, but yeah. So I thought the 1/64th scale thing is cool. It's interesting that it's in multiples of 8, kind of similar to Data. How Data is, you have 64 gigs.
Yep.
16 gigs. Flash drives.
128.
128. And car scales are in multiples of 8 too. How did those standards come about? You've told me that a lot of this stuff, kind of like die-cast car toys, kind of originated in England.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing they're the ones who kind of came up with these standards.
Yeah, I don't know if that's metric or what system. We're not metric. What system are we?
American.
Okay.
No, it's the English system.
Okay. Yeah.
I appreciate the metric system, but I prefer the English system personally, just for everyday use, and it's just a personal preference. And I prefer Fahrenheit over Celsius too, because Celsius is kind of weird. Like Fahrenheit, it's like the range that people usually run into is anywhere from 50 to 100 degrees. That's kind of like the range where humans can live comfortably.
What happens when it hits 451?
That's when paper bursts into flame. But yeah, I mean, with Celsius, 0 is freezing and 100 is boiling.
Yeah.
So all of the livable temperatures are kind of crammed at the lower end of the scale, of the 1 to 100 scale. So just for me, Fahrenheit just feels more natural. It feels like it kind of makes more sense for day-to-day use. I can understand why it would make more sense for scientific measurement, and metric too for science. But just for everyday use, I think the English system makes more sense. Imperial, I think it's also called too, the imperial system.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to tear it down and make another number system.
Yeah.
It uses new math where it's 2 plus 2 equals 5, and it's inclusive mathematics.
Well, it's the imperial system is just more badass. Telling a kid, "Wow, you've grown an inch since the last time I saw you," sounds cooler than, You've grown 2.5 centimeters since the last time I saw you. You know,
Yeah.
centimeter is just such a pathetically small unit
Amount.
of measurement. Yeah, like an inch is like something that you can grab onto.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. This has become about weights and measures, I guess. But it is a cool factoid, the whole 1/64th thing. So,
Yep.
but I really, getting back to this thing, I love the gold color. And I love it says Matchbox, what did it say?
Super fast.
Chrome and plating. Chrome and plating service. So it's like an advertising right there on the hatch. It's kind of like it looks like a hatchback. The front is cool. Like the front of these 1930s vehicles always had that cool, like, kind of almost looked like the Flatiron Building in New York. That kind of shape, that sort of Art Deco shape. If I had to pick like my favorite style, my favorite aesthetic style when it comes to design, I'd have to say probably Art Deco is it. And that's definitely what these 1930s cars reflect, is sort of a deco style.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
But yeah, we're at almost 12 minutes.
Oh, cool. I think we could call it pretty good. I think that we covered a lot with it, and it's just
I think this was a good find,
yeah,
and it's yeah.
It's the first super fast that I have in a box, so.
And I think they found a good way to display it without a what's the thing that you usually put a car on, like a stand or
A display.
a display. They found a good way to display it without actually putting it on some kind of a stand or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's just sitting there on top of cardboard.
Which is kind of its own stand, and you could probably open it up and put it in that box and store it that way.
Yeah.
But then you know, if you're a comic book guy, and you're like,
Ooh, it got taken out of the box. It's no longer collectible.
the original packaging.
Yes. Worst
diecast review ever.
Ever. So, all right, cool. Well, I'll plug myself first. I am the creator of a channel called Captain Unusual. I guess I am Captain Unusual.
You are the captain.
I am the captain. I'm a pulp hero who's into hobbies and history. That's mostly what my channel's about.
And really high-end, high-class content, but he'll still pimp out some shorts here or there, but they are really actually educational, life-enriching, and get a lot more views than my shorts.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm the diecastinator here, and I've taken kind of a sabbatical from my diecasting for a while.
Because he's got real-life shit going on.
Yeah, but we'll do at least one of these a week, and I'll actually upload them. There were some that we need to do some editing with, because just certain, we'll leave it at that.
It was too hot for TV.
Something like that, yeah. There were just certain things that could have been refined more, so that's one of the reasons that... It sounds so ridiculous thinking about it. There was
Yeah.
too hot for TV.
Yeah.
Diecast car reviews.
We were talking about Back to the Future, and things got a little too real.
Yeah, with that time travel.
It's your kids, Marty. Something's got to be done about your kids. I mean that.
And so hopefully 2022 will be a year of life enrichment and great things for everybody viewing this today and watching and all that. You should like and subscribe to both of our channels, and hope to see you all back here soon.